Got this fight Saturday. Got the fight Saturday night. What are your quick thoughts? Just your opening thoughts on the fight.
Great fight. Some great talent on the card. Something the fans should be excited for. You know, guys with a lot of effort and will coming in here to try to, do their best. And, that's the same exact thing that I train to do, is to bring my best and put my best foot forward.
He seems to be extremely confident in this fight. Especially talking to us, did you sense he's extremely confident?
Well, confidence is what a lot of boxers have, but I just know I'm the champion. I proved a lot of things within becoming a champion. I was like, no easy task to become a champion, and I wasn't asking for that. I elevated my work rate a little bit more. I was known as a hard worker before, but I just think I took the notch up just a little bit more by just even learning more stuff about what I'm able to do, challenging myself within the camp.
About confidence, I think you scored about 10 knockdowns in your last two fights. Now, what's that do for your confidence? I mean, you feel that you are the best Peter Quillin and maybe still even getting better?
I'm still getting better. I always show people different sides of me every time I step out there. So, I had my last three fights, 11 knockdowns. They haven't noticed that I was knocking guys out before, but now we just doing them in every round. Whatever round they want to go down in, we put them down, and as many times they get back up, I keep dropping them and putting them back down. But as far as that, I don't let that become of me and think that I'm just some kind of superb, got this knockout power. I just know that I train very hard for things like that to happen.
So that surprised you a little bit about the amount of knockdowns in the last couple of fights?
Sometimes when you're doing things within your work, sometimes you surprise yourself, but it's not for you to be getting cocky about it. So I just look at it as working hard. Those are the type of things that you can get and everything. So I'm blessed with it.
Gabe said you guys spent some time around each other in camp, so you're familiar with each other. Can you say if there's something within his game? I think he's seen you out at Wild Card. So can you say it's something that you've seen in his game that you can exploit that would be to your advantage on Saturday night?
Well, first and foremost, before we even got to meet each other, he was being disrespectful, calling me out and stuff. And these guys call me out, and when I see them, they have a different approach to everything. So I seen them in the parking lot, and there's look there. I said, "Oh, you Gabriel Rosado, huh?" I said, "What's up, man? How you doing, man?" He's like, "Yeah, man, I'm out here." I said, "Yeah, man, it was a pleasure to meet you. Look, man, we could use some work. If you're willing to use some work, I will definitely, do whatever it takes to help you out, and you can help me out." He was fighting my boy Saku at the time, so I guess he was sparring lefty, but I was willing to spar him and box him lefty, but we never had the opportunity. Right then, I knew I had to look at him after that. I ain't going to the gym, scout him out, look at him, and say I want to see this guy. It wasn't nothing that I do. I know he was killing himself to make 154. He was eating nothing but tuna fish, and that's the only thing he was eating. So his advantages came with him being bigger and stronger than the guys at 154. But now he's fighting 160. It's a little different. Now he's into a class where guys are either going to be just equally matched as him or just a little step higher than him. So, as far as seeing him and noticing him, I really didn't notice too much about him to really give a fuck, to be honest with you. Excuse my language, but when you got so much stuff going on, you cannot look on the side of you and this and that. You got to stay focused and look at what's ahead of you, man. And I try to stay in the present and not look too far in the future. So, other guys and what they doing, if I was too caught up in that, it would be too many guys to worry about. So many guys calling me out right now. If I was to focus in that, then how would I be able to worry about what I'm trying to do?
He said he never called you out.
He never called you out, but
man, I called him Chris Brown before. I did. This is something he was doing. We did a show. He called in. I never heard of this guy. I'm like, who is this guy? He looked like Chris Brown on his Twitter avatar picture. He colored his hair. I did in a fight, but it was a tribute to my dad being in this country for 32 years, being from Cuba. He did it to look like Chris Brown, an R&B singer. So it's these guys get caught up in losing track of what's important in boxing, which is going out there, working hard, challenging yourself. I do that every camp. I fight through so much bullshit in the boxing camp. That's what makes me a champion every day, is that I fight through so much, from family, from friends, to all this stuff that can challenge me. You know what? I look at it like this. You go up in a fight, right? And, everybody is just make it so hard for you to want to win. But for some reason, I found a way to win that all those people that made it hard, they hugged me after him man, we knew you could do it. But in me, I can't say, but you made it hard, you made it hard, you made it hard, you made it hard. So I look at myself as more of a polished, more champion, because I always got to remind myself, Like, if I wasn't meant to be here, God wouldn't have me placed on this pedestal I'm at. So it's a bigger mission than boxing for me to know what my purpose is. And I think it's bigger than boxing to me, you know, inspiring little kids that don't want to be a champion in boxing, that want to be a lawyer. Like, how can somebody that's a boxer do that to a little kid? You know what I'm saying?
So you said to me the other, at one point, you kind of referenced that you've knocked guys down 11 times in your last 3 fights, but you referenced something that people are still saying, criticizing you because you didn't knock them out.
Yeah.
What do you think that's from?
Well, that come from like a story that, you know, a little kid and a wise old man had to take a long journey with 2 grains of oats, 2 little oats, and they had to get it to another country, to another side, to another town with this donkey. So the grandfather tells the grandson, "You're gonna ride on the donkey. I'm gonna walk alongside with this donkey, get to the other town." They get to walking on his journey. Somebody all of a sudden goes, "Yo, you know what happens? Y'all gotta be ashamed of yourself. Little grandson, you should be ashamed of your grandfather took so many journeys to get to the other town. You should let him ride the donkey, and you should walk and take this treacherous journey to the next town." So they walk into the town. Now they switch places. Now the grandfather on a donkey. They get halfway close to the other town, and somebody goes, "You guys should be ashamed of yourself. Y'all on this donkey. Y'all should let this donkey. Y'all should both ride this donkey and get the oats to the next town." So they both get on the donkey and they walking more. Somebody else stop them and say, "You guys should be both ashamed of yourself. You have no appreciation of life. Y'all both on this donkey. Y'all gonna run him to the ground, and he's trying to help get the oats to the next town." Moral of the story, no matter what you do, you ain't gonna make everybody happy. So I know what I'm doing. If I keep that, most importantly, like I'm learning so much as what kind of individual I am through boxing, that I relay everything that I'm doing in the ring to a fight. So not making everybody happy, that's one thing, that you have to do things for yourself and make yourself happy. And then number 2, you know, as long as you're learning about yourself through what you do, you have nothing to worry about. And last but not least, I'm in a ring having a lot of fun, so it's not a job to me. A lot of people go to 9 to 5, and I witnessed. I was at that time where I was pushing a 9 to 5, and I hated my job, and I just didn't know what was next, what the next day was gonna hold. But now I get to go in there and work and challenge myself on my own, be my own boss, and learn about who I am as a person. And on top of that, I have a beach body after I'm done.
You got married, and I understand you're expecting your first child.
My wife just had a miscarriage, and I'm handling it a little different. And she, you know, she's Jewish. And not to say nothing bad about it, but she never had a real struggle in her life. And I guess she want me to, I'm compassionate about losing a baby, because I was like, I'm not you. I mean, the baby is part of you until it come into reality and come into this world, and I'm seeing them born, and I cut the umbilical cord, and I'm like, damn, man, I got a baby. But for her, it's really something she could touch. It's part of her at that point. So I'm never going to understand how to miscarry a baby because I wasn't her. So the first thing I told her is, like, you're going to learn a lot about yourself through this situation and this struggle, and I hope you know that through a loss, you're going to appreciate life when you get to have one. And today, and at that time, wasn't the time. She wanted me to come back home, and I'm like, babe, I'm not about to travel. I got a running camp right now that's like I'm paying sparring partners a lot of money to be here, that I can't just take one moment. What one hug is going to do for me to leave you. Then after that, you're going to miss me. It's going to be always something you're going to do. But it's something you got to work on. So my sacrifice in this camp was being away from my wife while she was going through a tough time, and have to remind her that boxing is like a big part of me. It's not like a job. This is a lifestyle for me. So if I give up and become distracted from what's important, like reality says this, if I don't go and fight and work on paying my bills, that if I don't have no money in the bank, then I don't get to pay my bills. We in the street, or I put pressure on you to go to work and make the ends meet, and that's not the manly thing to do. The manly thing to do is make manly decisions, which is for the family, that sometimes the woman would never understand. So I said, me being here is going to work on it, so things are going to get greater later. And I have full belief in you that you're going to overcome this struggle. And once I did that, she listened to a few people here and there. I said, nobody can explain nothing about you being in a relationship with a boxer. And if everybody can explain why you love me, then everybody else should be with me.
You this is like a personal question. This is not about Rosado, but I was ringside because I worked the Leo Santa Cruz fight in California when you fought Winky Wright. And as a matter of fact, Winky's family was directly behind me, and they was giving it to you. How much was that motivation to put you over the top with Winky that night?
Well, you know, I basically in the fight.
But
I was talking to
you
them.
going back and forth.
I was
yeah.
talking to them when I was fighting the husband. I was talking to them like, yeah, he gonna get this work. I was saying different things because, you know, I'm an emotional, I'm a passionate fighter, and I fight with that. You know what I mean? Like nobody can explain what I'm doing. I have my own powerful reason for what I'm doing. So somebody that never touched the ring and they just watch as a spectator and look at somebody as a fan or a family member, they get too much in tune. Like his wife was going back and forth with me on Twitter about something that, you know, I was in camp for 14 weeks training hard to beat this man because he was saying he was getting Layla Ali and all these different people involved and trying to play a mind game with me. But you can't mind fuck me. You know what I'm saying? Because I do this. This is my job. This is my lifestyle. So your hunger, your point of hunger of doing what you're doing is to get back and recuperate something that you lost. So sometimes you got to realize, damn, I made a lot of mistakes in my career. What could I have done different? I think you get a point like that in your life, and I don't think Winky Wright knew how to take that in. You know what I'm saying? I heard about his lifestyle, partying, and all that. That I learned real early in my career what was more important. And more importantly is that every fighter got a small window to make a lot of money. And before that window closing, you start not looking the same. And then that's where you have to realize that did you save your money? Did you pay your taxes? Did you set up for your future? And I don't think at that time Winky Wright didn't do that. So his family was talking to me, and I kind of got out the fight until I got back in the corner. Eric Brown smacked me and said, "Kid, stay focused." And I was like, all right. And then I got back into the fight and I started to
Well, you saw Winky initially in the rounds. You saw the confidence in his face, but then you saw it kind of waning. Rosado, do you think that he has, I guess for lack of a better word, do you think Rosado has bitching?
I can't really necessarily say that. I think sometimes when a person got a big heart, they're willing to try it all, even lose themselves within that. I think that's what's wrong with Rosado is that inside of himself, I think he's still trying to find himself out, and he really don't know exactly what he's able to do. You know what I'm saying? What I mean by that is like he lost already. He took some bumps in the road, and I'm not saying just because I haven't. I took bumps in the roads in different aspects, promotional problems, injuries. He took it in losses, meaning like in a fight where he had to be smart and learn how to win. He haven't shown that, and maybe this is the fight he can do that in. But I trained very hard to make sure that nothing he's going to be able to do is going to be good enough. You know, I don't care who you've been in there with. The thing I respect about Rosado is that I've never been in a fight with another Rosado. This is my first time being in a fight with a guy Rosado, so that's all the respect I'm giving him. But after that, no more respect. I'm trying to destroy you.
Petey, I know you're focused 1,000% on this fight, but have you given a little thought that a guy you came up with, Curtis, he's fighting next week for the middleweight championship? You ever thought that the middleweight championship basically goes through New York City if he comes through next week?
Well, let me tell you something. Curtis is a wielded fighter, and he's going to try his best to get that title. And once he get the title, if he ever does, me and him already talked that maybe one day me and him might have to fight. And that's something you got to accept about being in this business, that when you come to being friends with other people in your weight class, you have to set that aside, because right now I'm the champion. Who am I to tell somebody you don't deserve a shot just because I'm your friend? I can never tell a guy that. So I just know that there's guys out there, I got an X on my back and I got an X on me in the front, that I just got to protect those X's and watch out for myself. And I make sure that I'm elevating every time I step out there, not just in the fights, but in training.
You doing all right with your wife and everything?
Oh man, like I said, when you grow up with roaches and rats, man, it's not a lot of things that can get underneath your skin. I understand life to the T. I've been through everything. You know what I mean? I grew up, partly growing up, feeling like my mom didn't love me growing up in middle school. I just struggled with trying to understand. I always told myself as a kid, man, you know what's crazy? What if I was dead and I got to look at my mom from heaven and look at her grieving over me being lost? How would she look at me then? That's what I grew up with. I grew up with so much pain that I had to learn, that I had to myself to look for my glory. And now I remember telling my mom, I'm gonna leave here, and I'm telling you, you're gonna reach out to me and you're gonna need me. Instead of turning my back on you, I'm gonna be there for you. And that's what I'm still to this day. I ain't nothing changed in me. And I guarantee you everything that I love in my heart is that I'm very blessed to say nothing I've been through in my life has changed my heart. I still have a pure, good-willed heart that I'm working on being a whole person every time I step out there. So I don't got hateful towards making my parents from making mistakes with me. My dad did years in prison. I seen my dad in and out of my life, not because he didn't want to be there, because he was in prison all the time. So one of his girlfriends, I got disconnected with my father, didn't know where he was at. One of his girlfriends that he was messing with at the time came and took us and showed us where my dad was in Miley, Michigan, in federal penitentiary. And I seen him and I was like, man, I couldn't, you know, this guy did everything in his life to make sure I had everything I wanted growing up. And then when he went away, all that shit was stripped from me. So I went to school looking at other kids having shoes that I couldn't afford. And we had to swap out with my friends. And now, right, it's crazy. My friend right there, Hookem, we used to go to middle school together. And I didn't like him. Because I was like, man, you know what? Look, he got clothes that I can't afford and all that. As we got older and we became good friends, that he told me, man, growing up was hard for me too. We had a lot of roaches. We had probably more roaches than anybody I knew. You know what I'm saying? And you never understand that people be going through the same thing that you go through. So that's the beauty about life, is that you get to learn about different things and aspects once you get older. Like you heard a saying what our dog always say, I wish I know the things that I know now. I could take it back then. You know what I'm saying? And that's where I'm at right now in my life.
What's your relationship like with your parents now?
Oh man, my mom, I love her because, you know, the biggest relief I gave myself is forgiving her for making all the mistakes that I felt that she made. I said, it ain't a mistake if, you know, if she tried. I said, man, you know how it feel to come in? We knew my mom would start cooking on the day before Thanksgiving. One Thanksgiving, she wasn't doing that. Thanksgiving Day, I'm sitting around with my brothers like, oh shit, we about to eat some turkey. Oh, we going back and forth and damn. She ain't cooking. She came in the crib, broke down crying and said, yo, I'm sorry, but I cannot give y'all Thanksgiving right now today. I promise later on in the week, and broke down crying from us. And I was like, man, it was so hard to accept that. I looked my mom in her eye at that time and at that point and said, Mom, I'm very thankful, a mom that will even be willing to try to give us a Thanksgiving. Ever since that Thanksgiving, I didn't even look forward. That's why I could be in camp training through Thanksgiving, any holiday, because every holiday to me is just like another day. Because I grew up having birthdays with just my brothers. Never had like friends invited to my crib having birthdays like that. It's always been growing up where like I had to look at those kind of days as just regular days to me.
How old were you when that Thanksgiving?
I think I was like 7, 8 years old. You know, my mom used to go out Friday night all night, and I used to have to babysit my little brothers. You know what I'm saying? Big ass house, had a scary basement. You know what I'm saying? And my little brothers just like, yo, Pete, something is downstairs. What is that? They used to get scared, and I used to be scared as hell too. So, when I used to go down there, I was like, man, I used to have to suck it up and like, man, ain't nobody down there. And I used to like turn on the lights in the basement and go down in the basement. Like, if somebody out here, don't worry about it. I got my gun with me. You know what I'm saying? And then don't worry, the police is on their way. I used to have to psych myself, go out in the basement. My brothers wouldn't go down there with me. I go down there, you motherfuckers down here. Just like a little kid swearing, like, you motherfuckers down here. Y'all better be looking out. I got my gat on me. I get close to them stairs, I pew, up these stairs, close the door. And I can remember those moments when my little brothers used to look for me for strength, and I used to be like, don't worry about it, I swear. Don't let her, we gonna be good. And I had to wait until my mom. But those moments in my life where I had to suck those out was some of the most agonizing times where I used to have to suck it up and babysit my little brothers.
And how many little brothers you have?
I got 2 little brothers, same mom, same dad. And, you know, I'm not always happy with the mistakes they make, but I got to the point in my life right now where I just figured, like, every man gonna have to make his own mistakes and live with those. And regardless what road my brothers decide to go to, all I can do is be the best example I can as an older brother.
This is in Grand Rapids?
Yes, Grand Rapids, Michigan. I was born in Chicago.
Your father's still
Yep.
locked down?
No, my dad is out. My dad has been out since I was like 15, 16.
He was at your last fight, right?
Yeah, man, he's like mostly every fight. He comes to my camp. He was with my wife this whole time. And, you know, it's easy for my dad to be like, son, I tell you, don't worry about nothing. The lady must learn that she gotta take it easy. You gotta fight. I like it for you to clean everything out you had. And he said, son, think about the fight. And I think about my dad saying that all the time. I'm like, goddamn, Pops, you know what? Sometimes I gotta clear you out my head sometimes, you know what I mean? So, you know, but it's a blessing to have like a family that will put so much passion into their kids like my father, and that's why I give him nothing but respect. When I gained the most respect was in 2010, after I signed my contract with Golden Boy, I went to Cuba, and guess what? My dad wasn't there, but I seen my dad there. I seen exactly what he would do in every situation I was in Cuba, and I felt a part of him was with me while I was in Cuba, and I got to see things and learn who I was as a person.
And what's your dad's name again?
Pedro, which my name is Peter, and people don't understand that. My name Peter comes from my daddy.
Spanish.
Yeah. I was like, I told my mom, I said, why would y'all name me Peter? That don't sound tough, Mom. You know what I'm saying? Your dad wanted to name you that. I don't know why he wanted to name you that. I said, man, I grew up telling people my name was Pedro. And my name Petey come from my father not being able to say my name Peter. He said, Petey. So every time I grew up with the name Petey because of my dad not being able to say my name. My mom's name is Deborah. Yeah.
Being your dad from...
new to this. You handle the media very well.
Yeah, man. Well, you know, because actually, let me tell you something. I respect the media. You know, some of the media don't respect what I do, but it's a thin line between that both, that having respect, just that I need you guys just as much as you need me. So what I have to do is be myself and not say things that I expect y'all want y'all to hear. Y'all ask the questions, and however y'all ask it, it'll be aimed towards what y'all want to get out of me. But my thing is to stay true to myself and make sure I don't lose the sense of that.
Being that your dad's from Cuba, is there a boxing background with him, or?
No, my dad said he did. Like, you went to Cuba, and I was talking to my nephew, and I said, man, what the hell you do over here? He said, Uncle, I do everything. He's a painter. He's a priest at Babalao, which is like the highest priest in Santeria. You know what I'm saying? He's a painter. He's a roofer. He does everything. Every Cuban I know do everything. So I asked my dad, did you box? He said, yeah, I boxed as a kid. And
we got to stop saying Jamaican when you have a lot of jobs and call them Cuban.
Yeah. But my dad got a lot of respect from Jamaican people because he said he was locked down, that his own people, all his own Cuban people, didn't look out for him, that the Jamaicans always looked out for him. And everybody called him Poppy. You know, he gave a lot of Jamaicans a lot of respect.
Are you the oldest?